that should we look at finance? So there are quite a few research materials available in finance. Basically the funding for startups. But I said, that I will probably take it in the next class because almost the module is complete. And I'll try to invite some experts to help in funding startups. Then you have somebody is really interested in starting their own companies. That is the last part of it, right? Idea हो गया, ये हो गया, लेकिन पैसा चाहिए ना. So we will continue that after Diwali. So all the Diwali organizers कितना घंटा चाहिए आपको? 1 घंटा? 2 घंटा तो नहीं हो सकता. तो maximum I can do is wind up exactly at 1:30 or wind up at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock? So let's do it 1 o'clock so that you can have more celebration time. Because I don't want you to take preemptive time. Plus I don't want you to go late also. You can continue in the university. So we'll officially try to wind up at 4:30. My only request is that all the students who decided to write a research paper, and specifically for part 2 students, okay? Chetan, did you get the names?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to stay back and help you with the process of how to write a paper. So anybody who's interested, they can stay back after 4:30 and spend around some time with them so that you know what to do in Diwali. Because we are working on a lot of timelines also. You can't be just, मैं आपको नवंबर में दूँगा. नवंबर में हो जाएगा. So that's the whole plan. So we'll try and wind up at 1 o'clock. Is that fine? और हमारा सब आ गया क्या? जो भी materials है. Okay. So let's start. Okay. So what did we do yesterday?
Problems of startups. Startups.
So can you just recollect, summarize yesterday's talk?
Yes. Startups who already have people who already have a family business and individuals who come from no family business and how their startups progress. What is the mindset they carry? What is the support system they have and how do they manage their finances?
Yeah, Meena.
The startups, basically the main reason to fail is they don't stick to the business and they quit before 3 years. So 3 years is minimum period, 2 to 3 years is the minimum period that you should be in the business. Whether you get
minimum 3 years.
3 years.
That's the benchline. If you succeed before that, thank God.
So your basic criteria is you stick. Consistency is very important.
Who else was raising and you will say something? Yeah, what else? Yesterday's class. You are taking it.
So the mindset, there's a different mindset. People who are from business families, they have a different mindset. And first generation entrepreneurs coming from a service class background have a different mindset. That's what we discussed.
So there are 2 types of startups. The one who are startups from business families, and startups from
Non-business.
first generation. So really first generation where the parents are not being business community. Is there a difference between the two?
Yes.
What are the difference?
Lot of difference.
You remember we wrote down those differences.
Yes.
What was there? You can refer to the notes also.
Growth.
One difference is only mindset. Growth. That's the ultimate conclusion. The mindset is a mindset. It is not necessary that somebody who doesn't have a father or a mother or a community of business still can be a successful person and a very successful businessman or a startup, but all the mindset. When you come to that, it's a conclusion. But any other differences that you found between startups within business families and startup without business families?
So a lot of
Network.
So the resources, the people from business families, they come with resources, right? Whereas the first generation, right, they lack resources. They find it difficult to
Yes. कुछ पता ही नहीं होगा.
Finance professional. Finance.
The education that both have. This one is just
Education is the
education
same.
and practical application. You will think of it later. Whereas this guy takes in education with the point, with keeping in mind how he can apply it.
Yes.
the 3 cycles.
No.
Krishna.
So the finance matters. Like they have the funding for their project.
डैडी ने दिया ना पैसा.
Guiding method.
इसका भी केस वही है.
And we have professionals to
मेरे
guide
डैडी ने
you.
नहीं दिया. मेरे डैडी ने मेरे को लिखने को सिखाया.
We have professionals to guide you.
Yeah.
You are professional. Very important point. You are professional to guide you because daddy के professional circles become an asset for you.
Yes.
And you have to search for professionals when you are on your own start. Yes.
Yeah, they see for the family run business, they don't have to go through 3 cycles, but for the startup, they have to at least survive
They'll
till the
get
3.
faster.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, Meena.
So this is a very beautiful benefit what the business family kids have, that they have get that training. that mindset is developed there.
Yeah.
When a person thinks the non-business family, he will think up from the other perspective, that like employee mindset. But the person who is already from the business family, he will be always having that thought process while studying that I have to apply this in my business, and that becomes the training culture is there.
So the service-oriented family that is going to be more, he's going to run away to a more secure job as soon as he finds one, and not stick to his startup.
And then coming back to job.
Yes.
Very dangerous mindset. So they start and they come back. Then you realize actually they're thinking like salaried employee only, not like a startup. It's a mindset. Huh? That's what a 3-year period goes on. It's a very interesting period. Yeah.
There is always a startup and always a conflict, whether it's a right decision or a wrong decision. Yeah, I'm taking the right because there will be roadblocks also.
So I'm talking about yesterday's conclusion.
Yeah, because
Yesterday हमने क्या क्या conclude?
when he goes in,
Yeah, that's a good point. But हमारा कल का study का conclusions क्या है?
Guidance.
Please refer to your notes. Huh?
Guidance, so for a business family, guidance comes from within the family and the friends circle. Whereas for the
Very
working
important.
group,
Yeah, continue.
for the working group, it is predominantly self and whatever friends circle.
Correct. So वहाँ पे, as you said, there is an ecosystem which guides you. That is the friend circle also differentiates, because startup friend circle is different from an employee friend circle. We have a system. Yeah, Rajesh.
Build a business system which will self-producing.
Yes. Build a business system which will be self-producing. So I think we took the example of Rich Dad Poor Dad, saying that business should work for you, not you work for the business. In the initial stages, you work for the business. You have to build up. बहुत मेहनत लगता है. But एक ऐसा point आ जाता है, the business works for you. You don't have to work. So there's a movie called सरकार. उसमें एक अच्छा डायलॉग था. पहला डबल मेहनत करने का, आधा पैसा कमाने का. अभी डबल पैसा कमाता हूँ, आधा मेहनत करता हूँ. So in the long run, business when it takes off, then your finances also is a different thing. Wait, let's take the new Euronaut.
The idea can be the common thing between both. But the thing is, they can shape it very well. And
Louder.
idea is the common thing between both. But the thing is, this group can shape it very well. This kind.
Perfect. Anybody else was not spoken? Okay, then we come back. You have? Okay, wait.
Yesterday I was not there, but I can.
No, don't add viewpoints. So what we are saying, the conclusion of this. Okay? Maybe you can just refer to the videos and notes. What we want to do, we're going to continue the discussion. You want to have something?
So there's an ecosystem of support where someone is there to manage the emotions and bridge the generation gap.
CEO.
Chief
Very, very important. See, family managed businesses, कितने लोग family managed businesses वो पूरा emotionally होता है, isn't it? And you should go through the process of how the brothers split their business. Have you heard about it? Oh, you should go there. It's time pass. No logic, only emotion. Ego. I wouldn't say ego is one part of it, but it's all emotional. So you have the ladies balancing. And I always tell, since now I'll show you some of the videos of my own study on startups. So one is basically, I'm not an expert on startup, but I've studied a lot of startups and I've guided a lot of startups. So I'm going to show you some videos of my own research outcomes. So before that, I want to tell you that yes, you require an emotional balance because business is not just about numbers. And we'll give an example of mommy being the CEO. Anything else?
So when a guy from a business community goes for an education, he always relates that education from his past experiences.
Yes.
But when a guy from a non-business background studies, even in Spain, same kind of a management school, he speaks from a theory perspective and it takes him time for him to get adapted.
Yes.
So that's one of the big differences.
So theory the guy is saying theory ठीक है, application है.
We also saw an example of V-Trans.
Yes. V-Trans.
That both the sons were twins to MBA and then how they expanded it in other development.
Without conflict. डैडी का बिजनेस चला रहे हैं क्या? डैडी का बिजनेस का एक्सटेंशन कर रहे हैं. बराबर? तो डैडी का बिजनेस में क्या है? ओके, जैसे टेक्नोलॉजी एस्पेक्ट ऑफ इट, तो उन्होंने टेक्नोलॉजी भी क्रिएट की. दूसरे ने क्या अपॉर्चुनिटी देखा? वेयरहाउसिंग. अमीन, आपका इनपुट?
फर्स्ट मैटर
हिंदी में बोलो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
प्रोफेशनल्स को पे करने को प्रोफेशनल को पे करना स्टार्टअप्स के लिए एक्सपेंस है, लेकिन फैमिली बिजनेस वालों के लिए एक इन्वेस्टमेंट है.
बराबर है. You see the difference? Expense is also investment. चलो ले take $5 million. अगर चल पड़ा तो मेरा बेटा खुद के पैर पे खड़ा हो जाएगा. नहीं चला तो it's a business risk. Next.
जनरेशन गैप समटाइम्स तो न्यू आइडियाज होते हैं.
Yes, continue.
जनरेशन गैप हो जाता है. समटाइम्स जो न्यू आइडियाज होते हैं दे आर नॉट एक्सेप्टेड बाय द अर्लियर जनरेशन.
Okay, so we continue the discussion further. Okay.
I think just a point that I want to say. There is a in family business you need to respect the both genders. Then you set the example of the dad. He is calling someone and he is demanding a psychological voice. So that kind of a relation we need to start up.
Okay, Nirmay, you wanted to add a last point?
Yes, sir. The fact that they are sent out first to study, stand up on their own, then forced to run someone else's business, and then forced to attend family board meetings.
Forced to or whatever, you know.
They need to attend.
Know what a board meeting is.
Yeah.
स्टार्टअप मेरे को पता है कि 5-5 साल चलाते हैं, उनको बोर्ड मीटिंग क्या होता पता नहीं होता. धंधा कर रहे हैं, पैसा आ रहा है, but they don't understand the value of legalities. I mean, Chetan can tell this. That you know, people don't understand the value of CS versus CA. Every businessman thinks CA is important, and it is, right? But CS is equally important, and I would go one step further. It's more important than a CA. Do you agree on that?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is CS? Company secretary. Secretary का मतलब क्या है? It is not assistant. वो secretary मेरी assistant. No. Company secretary is a very legal requirement. And it is not just a legal requirement. If you understand the board resolutions that are passed, if you understand the way the whole process is conducted, the way your company should have an independent director. मैं entrepreneur है, मैं startup है, अच्छा लगता है, and it's good. You at least you started on a journey which you never knew. But as the journey gets bigger and better, you can't avoid this. Okay, I'll tell you. Some of you are from Mulund. And why am I giving an example of Mulund? Because I live there. There is a shop called as the Farsan Sweet Mart, called Hario. Mulund is quite famous. And I was speaking to the owner once. And what happened is that, see now this is how people think in business communities. Marwadi kind of a person, Gujarati Marwadi, entrepreneur. And then he started this Farsan shops, and there are many of them, right? In every suburb of Mumbai or outside Maharashtra, so you'll find Farsan shops. Because we like to eat oily food anyway. तो सब कुछ ना कुछ खिला मिला के बना के पका के देते हैं. He started one shop failed, second shop failed, fourth shop failed. वो लोग छोड़ा ही नहीं. 5 साल छोड़ा नहीं, अब तो 3 साल का बोल रहे हैं. And finally he struck a luck with one of his shops which is outside Mulund station on the east side. If you ever go. And इतना हो गया कि basically within a matter of 2 to 3 years he got 4 flats in Mulund. And देखो एक बार वो चल पड़ती है ना, and then cash flows. रोकड़ा है ना, जलेबी, पापड़ा, वड़ा पाव जो भी है उधर आ रहा. He went to that extent of actually buying out the full building as a shop. If you go to Mulund East, हरिओम का पूरा एक building है. It is like 2-3 floored building. Now what is the learning? 2 positives and 2 negatives. 2 positives that he never left that business. See, I told you 3 years. क्या नहीं चलता है, he understood everything. Okay. So the positive is that he never left the business. Second important positive that he understood what works with my clients. You know क्या चाहिए? Refine करके. So now he is a super successful business. But you know what? When I have to look at it like a startup, there are 2 technical failures also in that. He's still dealing in cash business. And one day if the government decides to shut it down, he's gone. You know the kind of activities. Now it is not about the government, it's about legality. He's still not on the legal side. Now what happens, it's very painful for a person who's always dealing in cash to make it white. Habit ही नहीं है ना, by the way उसके age 60 है. So I say that my goodness, this guy is running on such a beautiful business और दिखता है, और एक बार government ने decide कर लिया. This is second. The other important point, which is very essential for startups, he doesn't give a bill or a receipt till you are asking him. Good or bad?
Bad.
Bad it is.
Bad.
No, it is not about good or bad. He doesn't know that what is going to hit him. और वो क्या? What is the traditional mentality of thinking? जब government वाले आएंगे, कुछ दे देंगे. It has worked in the past, right? So I am telling that, friends, business, being good in numbers, in cash flows, is only one part of it, and he succeeded. I really appreciate him. If you ever come and get a chance to go to him or whatever, amazing. वैसा का मिठाई वाला भी है मलाड में. You know, hundreds of Fazan shops or small businesses. But you don't understand that if you pass on this business to the next generation, we are going from an unorganized economy to an organized economy. Correct? There is a grey area now. That business can hit very badly. I know diamond industry getting hit like this. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, diamond industry. Yes.
They're just gone. Those people are on the white side. I mean, you can tell he's from Surat, right? And I have traveled across the globe meeting diamond merchants and all those things. But the people who are more on the compliance side, the people who get the legalities, the people who get their, all the legal work in place, they are not afraid. Otherwise, पैसा बहुत है लेकिन डर बना रहता है. कौन सा डर है? वो अधर्म का डर है. इसका डर है अधर्म. That means dharma is not about but for me that I have done it ethically, legally, perfect. Even if you are a consultant, you should give a bill. Free advice ले लो, bill दो. नहीं गवर्नमेंट देगा. गवर्नमेंट ठीक है. गवर्नमेंट कोई भी आए नहीं जाए, that is a secondary thing. The idea is that if you run your startup from day one legally, your scale up can be very good. Why am I telling you this? कि आप लोग जब बड़ा सोचते हो ना, तो सही भी सोचो. बड़ा सोचने के टाइम सही सोचो. अपना प्रॉब्लम का बड़ा बनना है, लेकिन वो शॉर्टकट्स. Today what I'm going to do, since we have less time and Diwali celebrations also, I'm going to actually bring out some of my personal insights when I've been working with startups. I've worked with thousands of startups. I've seen maybe 800 of them failing. But I also started saying that, if there is a new startup coming in, what can I give as advice? And since I work with a lot of young generation, I have created a lot of material. And interestingly, whether you know it or no, I have a YouTube channel called Radhakrishnan Pillai. And one of the series that I actually ran is Why Startups Fail. So my point here is that yesterday we saw the challenges of startups, but today we are looking at solutions of startups. So I say that 90 to 95% of the startups fail, but I don't want between that 95%. I want you to think positively and be a part of the 5% which succeeds. Are you ready for that? So I'm going to show you some of the videos, not only mine, but I'm also going to show you some of the best researchers and scholars on their subject was startups and their outcomes. And I'll be showing you one interesting person whom I think if you want to ever be a startup, follow him, watch his video, read his books. I'd like an opportunity to go face to face with him. His name is Bill Gross. Billgross, a great scholar, academician who has refined and perfected the art of startups. And himself was a startup person, that's the best part. Apne experience ke saath, very matured guy, and he studied startups across the globe. So I'm going to start up with my videos, and I'm going to, of course, show you a video of Bill Gross also. The third and the most important thing that I'm covering today, and very important, what is the government of India doing for startups? Now I'm here going to go a little bit more technical, okay? I'm not going to tell you Modi ji ne bola startup, वो तो ठीक है. Modi ji नहीं रहेंगे तो क्या भारत नहीं चलेगा? Now what I'm saying is that for me, Modi ji, okay, great leader, he's doing a lot of work, but I'm saying that for me, India is different from the Prime Minister or the President or any Chief Minister, right? We are actually into a culture, and what is happening with the government of India, are you aware of it? How are they supporting? What are the processes? What are the incubation centers they have set up? Why don't you come here? We're looking at my back. So I want to start with three things. My session will be of three things. One is to go back and show you some of the research that I have done on startups. The second thing is that I'm going to take a world expert and connect you, showing you one of his videos also, Bill Gross. And third is one, I'm going to take you to the government of India's initiatives for Startup India, Stand Up India. All three good? So let's start with our video. Okay, so if you ever know, so I've got around 30 of, I mean, more than 100 videos overall, but in the YouTube channel, there are just a few videos, and there is a series which is called Why Startups Fail. So how many of you are already here as startups? Some Alka is here. Just raise your hand. All of you just look around. Now you know who are the people struggling or already succeeded. So for those people who are not yet startups, you have an in-house mentoring here, right? So this is the thing. You can go to Radhakrishnan Pillai. Of course, there is 36 videos. But there is only the 36 videos on the channel. But other than there are 200 videos just on the other things. And here.
What is life and what is its purpose, and what role do we play in the bigger picture of the...
So now this I have also connected to Arthashastra. So that's my subject. So what would Chanakya say, or what would he do to encourage startups? उस जमाने में भी आपको startups were there, but not like the way we have today. Saying that अगर farmer को farming करना है, नया land में experiment करना है, so we give them free land. He doesn't, for example, I tell you in the Arthashastra it's clearly written that if there is a merchant, okay, he wants to explore new territories. उसका ship है, right? और वो ship लेके एक goods लेके कहीं बाहर के देश में जा रहा है. But then he is also a startup, right? He is experimenting with an idea. The government will take up the risk and ensure its ship. One of the reasons all of you know that India was a great land of wealth is because they encouraged startups in some way or other. And Chanakya, if you look at, if you want to start up a new factory, you want to set up a new university, so they'll give you free land, they'll give you the machineries, they'll give you subsidies, all those things. आज भी करते हैं. So what I'm trying to do is that connect the knowledge of Arthashastra into the context. Okay, so since the technicality will get set up, I want to ask you that can you just raise the hands, the startup students? So coming back, how many of you have registered your company? ठीक है. Is it important to register?
Yes.
Why are you registering? Very important question. Is it outside influence or is it something that you want?
That's a legal requirement. Legal requirement.
It is a legal requirement, but you need not follow the legalities, right?
Then you can't do it.
I am asking a very simple question. Why are you registering your company or business?
It is convenient for the expansion.
Pardon?
Convenient for the expansion.
Why are you registering? Forget the world. Forget government telling. Why are you registering? Forget the legality.
If you want to grow, if you want people to invest in your company, you have to get your own identity.
ये thought सीधा रखो.
You have your own identity. You have your own identity.
Future loans.
See, the world will anyway come to you and the government will come to you. आपका PAN card चाहिए, वो चाहिए. Okay, all this will happen, but the understanding is that I need to take initiative before I would expect one member. I'd expect that all of you, I'll show you the end of it. Government of India is giving you free courses on how to start up your companies. How much? Free. इतना तो मेहनत करो कि जाके वो अटेंड करो. You want to do that? Because अभी मैंने आपको बोल दिया register करो. But there are 20 things to start up a company. And the government is giving you completely free coaching and money. By the way, how many people want to be startups or not startups? Okay. धीरे-धीरे आएगा environment. Everybody will do some side business also, even if they are working now. That's a different point. So let's look at this video. There are 5 in the series. I'll just show 1 or 2. Then you can do the remaining later. Hi friends. This is Radhakrishnan Pillai once again. I hope you are enjoying watching our YouTube channel. Last time we covered about my upcoming book, which is now released, Chanakya in You. Make sure you get a copy of it if you have already not read it. And I'm sure you want to discover the Chanakya in You. Our team at Ping Digital we're all thinking what should be the next type of series that we should be doing for our YouTube channel. And suddenly we realized an interesting topic which will be useful for our young generation, and that is Chanakya's advice to startups. Friends, Indians genetically have been proven that they're good entrepreneurs. So startups is not something which is new to us. Unfortunately, during the last few centuries, we lost that entrepreneur spirit in us. But it's slowly coming back. And being in the field of management, I've studied quite a few startups and the reasons for why they failed. Yeah, unfortunately, it's true that a lot of startups, almost 90 to 95% startups, don't really succeed. So what are the reasons because of which they fail? Maybe it is a cash flow issue. Maybe they are not able to brand themselves very well or market themselves very well or get the right funding through the various agencies that are available, be it a venture capitalist, be it angel investor, etc. So we thought about it. Let's go back into history. Let us look at our Arthashastra. What are the advices that Chanakya has got for startups? Next series we will cover right from taking the right advice, finance, consultancy, etc. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch. If you like these videos, comment, and make sure you share it with your friends, families, and others. Looking forward to give the great knowledge of Chanakya's wisdom for you. Hi friends, this is once again Radhakrishnan Pillai here. We just started a new series on Chanakya's advice for startups. Last week, in my YouTube channel, you saw what are the various reasons because of which startups fail. From now onwards, we will see what are the things that is required for startups to succeed. The first and the most important thing for startups is passion. Many people believe ideation is a very important thing in startup. Of course, a lot of ideas. But ideas without passion is not enough. We need to have the spirit of let's go and do it, the fire in the belly. That's important for a startup. But we need to go one step ahead according to Chanakya. We need to make sure your idea along with your passion should also be in lines with your talent, your natural talent, which is called according to Arthashastra as Swadharma. What is Swadharma? Swadharma means self, dharma means nature. By the grace of God, everybody has got some natural talent in him or her. The moment you recognize it and you apply in your field of startup, you're transformed. How many startups are so different from the others? Yet you will find that it is passion with rational thinking, whether I am meant for this. Usually startups have a herd mentality. Because my friends did it, I also need to do a startup. But you can have a startup in a different field. Something which is very unique. Something which is very natural to you. So make sure in your startup, there are three things. Great ideas, passion, and rational to understand that you are in for it. Next week, we'll see one more idea on how to succeed as a startup. Till then, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comment or questions, please write to us. Till next week, this is Radhakrishnan Pillai signing off on my YouTube channel. These are all this 1 or 2 minutes video that was created for marketing purpose. So don't go into that. But what I'm trying to tell is that there were few ideas that were taken, but it will give you some insights on how. So if you look at it, one of the points, idea is important, passion is important, but ये थोड़ा ऊपर रखो. नहीं तो क्या होगा, बच जाएगा. And then I said it should be in line with your Swadharma. What do you mean by Swadharma? No natural chance. हाँ, आजकल क्या नया स्टार्टअप चल रहा है मालूम है? Everybody is starting an app. तो सबको ऐप बना रहे हैं. क्योंकि वो फ्लिपकार्ट भी ऐप बनाता है, हम भी ऐप बनाते हैं. Nothing wrong, but you know, don't do it just because you want to do it. If you look at all the successful startups, somewhere there, how to get passion? Because you have some natural inclinations to that.
Hi friends, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. In this, currently we are running a series on Chanakya's advice to startup. In the last few videos, we saw various ideas like making sure your startup is in line with your passion and talent. We also saw the importance of consulting and getting the right advice from experienced and mature people. Today, we are going to talk about a very important aspect, that is finance. All startups need to understand that finance is a very important part of a business. Of course, passion is more important, but passion, if it is not turned into profitable business, then it will die off. Because as Chanakya said, reality is that a person what he has at the end of the day in his bank account. So, how does startup really look at creating finance for his particular company? There are various methods. Instead of training the young generation to create CVs and biodata to apply for a job, we need to create a generation which is made and understanding business plans. So make sure you get trained yourself in making a business plan. Next step is to actually approach an investor who will be ready to invest into your particular idea, your particular startup. And please know that not necessarily all investors are bad. In fact, they are taking the risk on you. You are also taking the risk on investing your time and energy. It has to be a synergy that somebody puts in the money and you put in your efforts. Make sure that you give back much more than what you got in terms of money. It's a responsibility to make sure you give back 10 times more than what you actually got. Never be afraid of investors. They are there to help you. Find the right investor who values you and your startup. That's the way to make a successful startup, a successful business. Next week, one more final tip from Chanakya on startups. Till then, if you like it, give a thumbs up, share it with others, leave a comment, and of course, I'm sure you must have subscribed for it by now.
So there are very small videos, but what is the different insight you got from this video? Now you're an investor.
Train yourself.
Train yourself to make business plans, not biodatas. India as a generation, हमको सिखाया जाता है ना, job apply करने के CV, है ना, different forms of CV. You know, now there are video CVs also. Are you aware of this?
Yeah.
किसने देखा है क्या? Video CVs. You should try all those things, but don't use it anymore. Now you start going, and today knowledge is available so much that we can easily get all templates, a lot of YouTube lectures on how to create business plans and all those. So the first thing is that plan out your startup before you start working on your startup. धीरे-धीरे करो. Never jump immediately. हाँ startup idea. That's dangerous. That's a 95% fail. Okay. So how to make a business plan? I know it's a different question. That's a different exercise. But that is where your journey starts. Try to write it on paper. You don't have to make the best business plan at all. But you should have a plan. The problem is that when you start making a business plan, ये perfect है कि नहीं है, वो सवाल छोड़ दो, but शुरू तो करो. And I tell you, some of the best business plans that are presented and which they got $1 million investors were just one-pagers. Can you believe this? You don't have to make. Of course, if you want to make, you should make like a complete book with 20-25 pages, everything. But what I'm saying, if you want to go to an investor, which is our next topic, right, on how to get investors. Investors look at three things: the idea, and the person, and the passion. One phone call में पैसा आता है. Remember that story I told you yesterday? Papa, hello, आप ये दो 5 करोड़ आ गया. Remember that? Because तब सामने वाले को पता है कि वो जो बंदा है वो सही बंदा है. सामने वाले को पता है कि आइडिया जिस पर पैसा लगा रहा है वो आएगा. That's a different topic. So now I don't want to be negative. I am now going to look at very positive. Okay, saying that startups is good, investors are good. And think about it कि आपके पास 5 करोड़ है, आप किसी पे डालोगे, किसका रिस्क ज़्यादा है? पैसा देने वाले का, right? lot of family managed businesses don't like investors. You know this? Family managed business don't. What is the reason for that?
Secrets are
You
leaked
lose your
out.
independence.
Confidentiality.
That's why a lot of people don't like to get married. But then you realize, if you have the right partner, then marriage is enjoyable. So the whole thing, like for both the boy and the girl, you know, पता नहीं किसके शादी करके जिंदगी, और लड़का लड़का बोलता है यार, now I have to come go home every day, I would have been with my friends. So it's a starting problem. But I'll tell you, if you understand the right partner, you understand the wavelength, then marriage is also successful, right? Similar with startups also. Investor is actually risking on your business the way you are able to risk your shares to the investor. A lot of family people are ठीक है भाई यार 5 करोड़ का कंपनी 6 है, अगर 5 करोड़ का कंपनी और उसका बेटा आके बोलता है पापा 5 करोड़ नहीं हम लोग 500 करोड़ कर सकते हैं, फिर चुप बैठ नहीं, तेरे पास एक फ्लैट है गाड़ी है और अपने एफडी में और 5 करोड़ पता है, किसको पता नहीं है को किसी को और को रिपोर्ट करने का. I am not telling that you should work on investor, but if your company requires money for growth, there is a process to it. And the final one, because of which people have gone up and made huge monies, is because they went from their startup and raised funds through an IPO. You know what is an IPO?
Initial public.
That means they listed their company on the stock market. And there are different types of stock markets, nationally, internationally. In India, of course, the two famous stock markets are BSE and NSE. Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. Okay?
Yes.
So these are the major things. But let me tell you, these are not the only two stock markets in India. There are many of them. Are you aware of which are the stock markets?
Calcutta stock.
No,
Calcutta stock.
we have MCX. Commodities exchange. The commodities exchange, not a stock market. For stock market, now we have two. Others have been closed down.
Like we have SME stock exchange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Within BSE, I'm going to ask the head of SME BSE India to come and give a talk, a lecture. Okay? How the whole process is, you don't know. You can actually create funds even before you start a company, but you should have a proper business plan. There's a lot of process to it. That we can see later on. But the whole idea is that all companies which have become big, you remember this, they're all listed companies. Isn't it? Be it Amazon, be it Reliance, be it Tata, they're all listed companies. One of the fastest growing stories of our generation across the globe, fastest growing stories is Starbucks. You have to travel across.
Yes.
The speed of growth of Starbucks was maybe 10 times or 100 times than what McDonald's was. You know, McDonald's you can see it across the globe, every city in India will have it. You know, Starbucks was started as one single shop in Seattle. And today, how many Starbucks stores are there? Are you aware of it? 26,700, the last one. How much? 26,000. And the founders are still there. Same thing happened with Amazon, isn't it? Same thing happened with India and Flipkart. All of them have something in common. They are all listed companies. They are all listed in, they may not be listed in India, but they may be listed in NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, or whatever. So what I'm saying that before we go into the world of finance and startups, let's not forget there is something in between. Why startups fail and why startups succeed. So I'm going to now start with a small video of Bill Gross, an expert worldwide on why startups succeed. Not how they fail, why they succeed. And this is important. This talks about a single business leader, why startups.
Roll like things, sing one, take one.
I'm really excited to share with you some findings that really surprised me about what makes
companies succeed the most? What factors actually matter the most for startup success? I believe that the startup organization is one of the greatest forms to make the world a better place. If you take a group of people with the right equity incentives and organize them in a startup, you can unlock human potential in a way never before possible. You get them to achieve unbelievable things. But if the startup organization is so great, why do so many fail? That's what I wanted to find out. I wanted to find out what actually matters most for startup success. And I wanted to try to be systematic about it, avoid some of my instincts and maybe misperceptions I have from so many companies I've seen over the years. I wanted to know this because I've been starting businesses since I was 12 years old, when I sold candy at the bus stop in junior high school, to high school when I made solar energy devices, to college when I made loudspeakers. When I graduated from college, I started software companies. And 20 years ago, I started Idea Lab, and in the last 20 years, we started more than 100 companies, many successes and many big failures. We learned a lot from those failures. So I tried to look across what factors accounted the most for company success and failure. So I looked at these 5. First, the idea. I used to think that the idea was everything. I named my company Idea Lab and how much I worship the aha moment when you first come up with the idea. But then over time, I came to think that maybe the team, the execution, adaptability, that mattered even more than the idea. I never thought I'd be quoting boxer Mike Tyson on the TED stage, but he once said, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face." And I think that's so true about business as well. So much about a team's execution is its ability to adapt to getting punched in the face by the customer. The customer is the true reality. And that's why I came to think that the team maybe was the most important thing. Then I started looking at the business model. Does the company have a very clear path generating customer revenues? That started rising to the top in my thinking about maybe what mattered most for success. Then I looked at the funding. Sometimes companies received intense amount of funding. Maybe that's the most important thing. And then of course the timing. Is the idea way too early and the world's not ready for it? Is it early, meaning you're in advance and you have to educate the world? Is it just right, or is it too late and there's already too many competitors? So I tried to look very carefully at these 5 factors across many companies. And I looked across all 100 Idea Lab companies and 100 non-Idea Lab companies to try and come up with something scientific about it. So first, on these Idea Lab companies, the top 5 companies, City Search, Cars Direct, GoTo, NetZero, Tickets.com, those all became billion-dollar successes. And the 5 companies on the bottom, Z.com, Insider Pages, My Life, Desktop Factory, PeopleIn, we all had high hopes for, but didn't succeed. So I tried to rank across all of those attributes how I felt those companies scored on each of those dimensions. And then for non-Idea Lab companies, I looked at wild successes like Airbnb and Instagram, and Uber, and YouTube, and LinkedIn, and some failures. Webvan, Cosmo, Pets.com, Flues, and Friendster. The bottom companies had intense funding. They even had business models in some cases, but they didn't succeed. I tried to look at what factors actually counted the most for success and failure across all these companies, and the results really surprised me. The number one thing was timing. Timing accounted for 42% of the difference between success and failure. Team and execution came in second, and the idea, the differentiability of the idea, the unique idea, that actually came in third. Now, this isn't absolutely definitive. It's not to say that the idea isn't important. But it very much surprised me that the idea wasn't the most important thing. Sometimes it mattered more when it was actually timed. The last 2, business model and funding, made sense to me, actually. I think business model makes sense to be that low because you can start out without a business model and then add one later if your customers are demanding what you're creating. And funding, I think as well. If you're underfunded at first, but you're gaining traction, especially in today's age, it's very, very easy to get intense funding. So now let me give you some specific examples about each of these. So take a wild success like Airbnb, everybody knows about. Well, that company was famously passed on by many smart investors because people thought, no one's going to rent out a space in their home to a stranger. Of course, people proved that wrong. But one of the reasons it succeeded, aside from a good business model, a good idea, great execution, is the timing. That company came out right during the height of the recession when people really needed extra money. And that maybe helped people overcome their objection to renting out their own home to a stranger. Same thing with Uber. Uber came out, incredible company, incredible business model, great execution too, but the timing was so perfect for their need to get drivers into the system. Drivers were looking for extra money. It was very, very important. Some of our early successes, City Search came out when people needed web pages. GoTo.com, which we announced actually in 1998, was when companies were looking for cost-effective ways to get traffic. We thought the idea was so great, but actually the timing was probably maybe more important.
And then some of our failures. We started a company called Z.com. It was an online entertainment company. We were so excited about it. We raised enough money. We had a great business model. We even signed incredibly great Hollywood talent to join the company. But broadband penetration was too low in 1999, 2000. It was too hard to watch video content online. You had to put codecs in your browser and do all this stuff. And the company eventually went out of business in 2003. Just 2 years later, when the codec problem was solved by Adobe Flash, and when broadband penetration crossed 50% in America, YouTube was perfectly timed. Great idea, but unbelievable timing. And in fact, YouTube didn't even have a business model when it first started. It wasn't even certain that that would work out. But that was beautifully, beautifully timed. So what I would say in summary is execution definitely matters a lot. The idea matters a lot. But timing might matter even more. And the best way to really assess timing is to really look whether consumers are really ready for what you have to offer them. And to be really, really honest about it, not being in denial about any results that you see. Because if you have something you love, you want to push it forward. But you have to be very, very honest about that factor on timing. As I said earlier, I think startups can change the world and make the world a better place. I hope some of these insights can maybe help you have a slightly higher success ratio and thus make something great come to the world that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Thank you very much. It's a great audience.
I think we started with ideas yesterday. He said, what are the 5 factors that go into make successful startup? Two is team.
And execution.
Business model.
Business model.
Funding and
Idea, business.
Business model is business plan and put it in box. 4 plus funding. And the fifth is see, when we started the video, he said all 5 are important, right? Yeah. But then remember one thing. He said we have to conclude that what is that one thing, and which was the 5th one became the most important. You remember that one going up of the time? Friends, when you start up, you have a great idea or many ideas, but some ideas are ahead of their times. You have to be at the right place at the right time. He told about the whole thing about video content. It was started by Z.com. That's an example. And they got a Hollywood star. It's all an entertainment. But the broadband connectivity nahi tha. Kaun dekhega? And that idea which was started by Z.com actually got succeeded with YouTube. Today everything is on YouTube, right? And what happened is that, not that both of them had different ideas. They had the same ideas. The timing was not right. You have to dig through it, understand whether the customers are ready to buy your product now. And sometimes I've seen this, investors say it's a great idea, but even 4 साल के बाद करो. 4 साल के तो अभी great idea तो दो ना पैसा. Let's start a little. No. There is something called the maturity time. There is something called as it takes time for that business to get ready. And smart businessmen know this. When is the right timing for the right project or the right business? But yehi hai which not many people understand. Idea. Good, great start. Then your idea cannot be your idea. You have to inspire your team. You should have 4 people. Swami Amartya Janapada Durga Kosha Danta Mitra. Swami के पास great idea होने से कुछ होता है क्या? You need to have an Amartya. Manjari Parishad. तो राजा अकेले जंग नहीं जीत सकते. So then they create teams. I was in US at that particular time. This is startup I am helping out. So this guy was asking me, कि sir मेरे पास idea है, मेरे पास funding है. He's from a business company. Well, idea है, funding है, मेरे पास office है, I've got a great model. What should I do next? So who are your team members? What do you mean by team members? Who is going to run the show? Please hire people. Think about it that he had a great idea, he had a business model, he had dad's funding, You know the right place at the right time, but he missed out. It's not a one-man show. Business, you never have a one-man show, you need to have a team. Okay? What is business model? What is business model mean? Yeah. And you create business model, right? Everybody is an expert in that. What do you mean by business model? Is to create all that is in your head on paper. Very, very essential. मेरे दिमाग में आइडिया आया ठीक है पेपर पे लिख people can't do that. People can't do that. And that's why if you want to write a Kautilya Arthashastra paper, you will find that. You have everything in your head. When you start writing, that's where the problem comes. The business model is a very important part. कैसे करें? You have to visualize it. And one of the things I would suggest to all of you is to watch some videos on design thinking. You're doing that. You know, are you aware of this concept for design thinking? Yeah. So please write down. मैं आपको सिर्फ tips दे रहा हूँ. Don't just look at it from the exam point of it, whether you write it or not. But you know, whenever you have free time, look at all these videos. Design thinking is about how you think about your particular idea from different perspectives. How you design, how you structure it mentally. Then you make a plan out of it. Very interesting field. And design thinking is not about designing on paper. It's not about painting and कैसा design. It's the way your mind is designed to think. And one of the exercises they give in design thinking is that suppose you are doing a business. Why don't you call up people from different fields and talk about a business? You will call an artist. Okay? You will call an artist. They will call the mother. They will call somebody who is a farmer and say that I have an idea, help me in designing this idea. Helpful? Out of the box thinking, right? So when your business is suddenly thinking and you call an artist and he starts giving an idea, will it be different? Very out of the box dimension. The farmer comes and talks about it. He may not know about it, but ऐसे हमारे यहाँ पे farming होता है. To put an idea into that. And somebody comes and talks about it. This happened with me when I was once called to Mahindra & Mahindra, their factory, and I was addressing the research and development team, R&D department. And at that time they were bringing out. So at that point it was a big innovation for them. It was Mahindra XUV. You know that there's a car or it's a SUV model called Mahindra XUV. And Anand Mahindra had very clearly said that this is going to be next generation Indian car. Remember this? Next generation Indian car. What does it mean? It means that this particular car, even though it will be world class, it will be designed for India. And if you surprise, they called me and I was like, मेरे को तो कार के बारे में कुछ नहीं आता है. तो आपको चाणक्य क्या आता है ना बोलो. They called one person who was an expert in Gandhian studies. Gandhian studies? तो गांधी जी के बारे में बोलो. And the research team used to make notes. And there is some element will go to the final car. Now this is called design thinking. One aspect of design. So when you have a great idea, a business model, you should look at it from various perspectives. We'll talk about funding a little bit later, right? Funding is very important.
I had one question about the timing.
Yeah, we'll come to that. So let me complete. Okay, and the final is timing. We'll discuss that later, more in detail.
Business model, is it also about operations?
Business model includes operation. But business model is not just operation. So again, in simple put it, okay. Let me tell you that you got an idea that this particular paperweight is a paperweight, and I can make a better paperweight, right? Nothing wrong, right? That's my idea that this I want to make it better. Now this is an idea. Now how do you create that into a business model? I'll give you an example. So let us look at first you study this and make it better to your particular paperweight. Now tell me one thing. If you were to create this on your own, what are the things that will go down to make this, manufacture this?
Glass, raw material, then machines, people. Swami Amata Janpa Jyoto Kush Danda Mitra.
Land.
Correct. हो गया? ओके हो गया? और खरीदेगा कौन? कितने में खरीदेगा? मैं बेचूंगा. Everything end to end. खरीदेगा कौन, कितने प्राइस में खरीदेगा, मैं बेचने को तैयार है लेकिन कौन सी दुकान में मिलेगा, ऑनलाइन जाएगा या ऑफलाइन जाएगा या मेरे घर पे दुकान खोल के बैठूंगा. You see this? So when you have an idea, when you look at end to end, that's what they say. And some people also create flow charts. You know what is flow charts? Process. I mean, you also created a flow chart and showed us. What is a flow chart? Saying that A, B, C, D, E, step by step logically. There are a lot of dashboards available. You know what is the dashboard? So you look at saying that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 आपको चाहिए. So if you were to create this into a business model, you need to create lot of steps to it. Okay? ये बनाना है तो कहाँ बनाऊँगा? तो चलो फैक्ट्री डालना. But some businessmen में think an idea पागल है क्या फैक्ट्री बनाने के लिए, मैं तो 10-15 पीस सैंपल करूँगा पहले. What I do to cut the whole cost and not look out for an investor, I will go and find out who is making this already. तो उसको बोलेगा सर मेरे को ऐसा वाला सैंपल चाहिए, मोल्ड बनाने के दे दो, कितना खर्चा लगेगा. So think about it. The business model includes refining of your own thoughts. All of you said, you know, कितना फैक्ट्री में लगेगा, मशीनरी लगेगा बराबर है. That is stage 2. Stage 1 में क्या करना है? चुपचाप सैंपल बनाओ ना किसी और के पास. Then you test the market. And when you're doing it, you suddenly realize there are a lot of things which I don't know. For example, आपने बना दिया, कितना पीस आपको बेचना है? Lakhs में बनाना है, but day 1 में lakhs बनाओगे. How will you start with? How much sample? 100,000. Okay, उतना.
Chinese model says number of pieces required to reach break-even.
ठीक है. What else? I say sampling में मैं break-even नहीं सोच रहा हूँ. पहले market test कर रहा हूँ. So I take this 100 and then I will. Where will I sell it? Nobody thought about this. स्टेशनरी शॉप पे क्या स्टेशनरी शॉप पे गए, बोला मेरे को नहीं चाहिए, बोला ठीक है भटके जाओ, बिकेगा तो पैसा दे. Will you do that?
But there is a challenge.
All these sort of thing. वो बोले पहला वो आते कौन आदमी है और बोले इसका 20 रुपये आप 25 में बेच सकते हो, बोला नहीं चाहिए मेरे को. रखो सर, एक हफ्ते के बाद आके देखता हूँ. एक छोटा रिक्वेस्ट है, आप दुकान में डिस्प्ले बराबर रखो, अंदर किधर कोने में रख देगा तो मालूम मिलेगा. Isn't it true? There is something called as merchandising in shops. You are aware of this? Display, merchandising, visualizing. Product है लेकिन कोई पता नहीं चलता है. So a lot of good products fail because there is no visuality to it. The awareness is not there.
जो दिखता है वो दिखता है.
What I'm saying, next step is to make sure. अच्छा, 100 copy गया, then what do you do? Replace. लेकिन you have to go back to the vendor. बोला हाँ यार 100 पीस गया है मेरा, कॉपीज गया है, now make 10,000 को, right? जैसे डिमांड, everybody says अरे अच्छा तो बिकता है, तुम्हारा डिजाइन बहुत अलग है, ये पेपर वेट से तुम्हारा पेपर वेट का बहुत डिमांड है, चलो मतलब शॉपकीपर himself says चलो यार I am ready to take next lot में 500 copies, the 500 units, and you already given maybe 10 to 10 shops, right? And all the 10 shops are 500 to 10 कितना हो गया? 5,000. अब आप जाते हो वापस अपना फैक्ट्री के पास, तो बोला 5,000 में बोला एडवांस दे. 100 कॉपी तो आप 100 यूनिट्स तो यू कैन पुट फ्रॉम योर जेब ना. एडवांस व्हाट डू यू डू? एनी व्हाट डू यू डू?
So it will be economies of scale. Economies of scale.
What will you do at that particular point? वो तो मैन्युफैक्चर करके देगा. And there is a market also for it, ना?
ऐसा rent.
But you say you don't give me advance.
Setup.
Rent money.
This is the business model. There are different methods. You can take a loan from the bank. You can take a loan from the bank also. You can do a lot of things. So what happens then? Suddenly you start thinking, and there are a lot of smart businessmen. वो क्या करते हैं मालूम है क्या? वो advance और दुकान वाले से लेता है. In fact, one of the business advices that I ever got, and I can never forget that, धंधा कभी अपने पैसे से नहीं करने का. And क्या बोल रहा है? I'll tell you what. Understand this. Which I'll talk about this maybe in the next class while funding. People burn their lives when they invest everything that they have, including their bank accounts, house, everything. वो रास्ते पे आ जाते हैं, isn't it true? Because that is not smart. You require money, na? And you think the only source of money is your personal money. People mortgage their house, people mortgage their, and then नहीं चला तो बैंक लेके जाएगा आपका घर. तो बिजनेस भी नहीं रहा, जो था वो भी गया, isn't it? That is called stupidity. I'm not joking. smart business owner know that if there's a fund requirement, it's a reality. Fund requirement doesn't mean I fund it. So you get a partner, you get a bank, a lot of things will come to that. And finally the biggest one, okay, चलो ये बन गया, आपने किसी ना किसी लोन लिया या somebody friend may give you और उसमें मैं आपको equity देता हूँ, I'll give you shares of this particular company on those. And then this takes off. And then in the whole market there is a demand for 5 lakh units per week. Then comes that will demand. अब क्या करोगे? Then you can think about putting your own factory. Okay? Till now you are not thinking about your factory, even though you are aware of it. So in the business model you say, statistically saying that if it is 100 units, I will do it myself. ठीक है ना, 5,000 रुपये डाल. But the moment I say it is going to be 5,000, then I say, oh, I may or may not be able to fund it. Then I look at funding. The moment it is 5 lakh, then why should I give it to him? वो पूरा मेरे में 5 lakh नहीं बनाता है, जो मेरा फैक्ट्री में ये बनाता है, right? So I already surplus his model. I better get my own factory. That's when you start thinking about your machinery and all those things. But then, please understand that when you have a factory, you have a complete overheads. पगार दो, लाइट दो, खर्चा दो, वो ये सब, फिर उधर फैक्ट्री में जाना मालूम पड़ेगा कंप्यूटर चाहिए, फिर उधर किसी को रखा तो बोले उसमें सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल करना है, बोले ये बना रहा हूँ कि मैं सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनी चला रहा हूँ, but you can't deny all those things. I am telling that business model can be as big as this or as small as this, but somewhere you have to understand that without business model you can't think, and if you think more, you get better. And big companies, since I work with what they do, they make a 5-year projections. They make a 5-year projection and they review it from time to time. ऐसा नहीं कि अभी डाल दिया 5 साल का देखेंगे. Stage 1 में, year 1 they said I should be able to sell 50,000. The first month I will make 500, then I will wait for the market response. Second or third month I will go and probably make 5,000 units. Then I will take a break. I will not rush through because there is a demand. Demand होने से आपका supply जरूरी नहीं है. There is a wait. Then I will talk to some people. And first year, if I am able to pay 50,000, great. Then I will go to an investor. Because maybe time लगता है. Investor can take anything from 3 months to 3 years to come. It's not an easy process. And then say second year we should be able to sell 1 lakh units. Third year we should be able to sell 4 lakh units. And fifth year we should be able to sell 5 lakh. So all these probabilities, permutation and combination is the business model. Okay, you can go again on internet and search the different possibilities of business model depending on your product and services. Everything is not the same. Because the way you market a paperweight will be different from the way you market a film movie. अभी आपने फिल्म अगर बना रहे हो तो उसका कस्टमर कहाँ आएगा? स्टेशनरी शॉप पे आएगा? कहाँ आएगा? Multiplexes or where else do you see movie? YouTube. Today there are movies being released on YouTube. You are aware of it?
Yes, yes.
Basically mobile platforms.
Mobile digital download.
Satellite televisions. You know, today movies when they are marketing, they first sell their satellite rights. Are you aware of this? What is happening to all this is a part of the business model. In fact, one of my very close friends was telling me 2 of the major films flopped this year. One was of Shah Rukh Khan, one was of Salman Khan. Tubelight flop, and one of the Harry met. Harry met Sejal flop. But both of them made money. Yes. Are you aware of this? I'll tell you the figure also. I think it was 170 crores being paid to Salman Khan. And the incoming was 30-40 crores. And same thing, another 170 crores was given to Shah Rukh Khan. So उसने पहला अपना मूवी बनाते ही सब बोले तू है ना इन्वेस्टर, ठीक है मैं पूरा मूवी बनाऊंगा सब लोग तेरे को दे दूंगा 170 crores. Now the cash flow when the whole movie started तो सब फैंस जाते हैं ना, then the review comes है फालतू देखने का नहीं देखने का जो भी है ना, they tried to push it 30-40 crores का क्या, and then what happened? What is the gap between 30 and 170? Multiplied by 2, and both the investor was a single person. सेम आदमी ने दोनों पे इन्वेस्ट किया. उसने कैसा सोचा, ठीक है 170 डालेगा तो मैं वो ना उनका आजकल गेम चलते ना 300 करोड़, बिकॉज वो क्या दंगल मेड 300 crores, 500 crores, 100 crores तो मिनिमम है ना आजकल. दैट इज अ बेंचमार्क फॉर ऑल बिग स्टार मूवीज. रजनीकांत मूवी फ्लॉप, आर यू अवेयर ऑफ इट? मेजर फ्लॉप. कौन सा था लास्ट मूवी? कबाली. डिड नॉट गो, एयरप्लेन में लगाया फोटो सब कुछ. But look at the actors, the stars, they made their money. So what I think, these are business models, these are possibilities. So what they would do is that if my film is to be done, I want to make some money and फिर तू satellites बेच, तू mobile platform बेच, जो भी बेच. In fact, there are movies I know, big stars, which actually got released on platforms. In Tamil movies, that Kamal Haasan's movie था right, which they wanted to actually release on mobile stores. Dasham tha right. But you know what happened? Business model also includes business risk. So what happened is that business model includes business. What is the meaning of business risk? I'll tell you. So what happened is that everything was perfect. Okay, everything was perfect. Kamal Haasan movie and he's a superstar, right? So everything, yeah. And they said, okay, I will release the movie on mobile platforms one day before it hits the theaters. Great idea. Rajinikanth, Kamal Haasan, because of aarti karte hain, right? They are gods, demigods. And you know what happened? One interesting political dimension happened. That time Chief Minister was Jayalalitha. उसने क्या किया होगा? उसने कुछ तो I don't know what happened in between. She took the rights or whatever, and then she released the movie even before it was released on the mobile platform. पूरा viral हो गया, खत्म. Nobody saw it on mobile, nobody saw it on theaters. किसी ने सोचा नहीं था. Ignorant politicians. That's why Kamal Haasan is interested in politics now. This is the real game changer out there. He is acting in actor. He is doing election पे ये करता है. Now why am I telling you is that you may have a perfect business plan, but there is something which probably is called risk factor. So in the field of business, one of the interesting things is called risk management. It's a field of study. Chetan को भी पता होगा. Risk management. See, whenever I am telling you these ideas, please understand each of the ideas is become a subject of academic research now. ये मत सोचना कि risk management. If you go and type risk management, you will find hundreds of materials. Design thinking, I told you, right? Design thinking, I said, there are hundreds of lectures happening, hundreds of courses happening. We have an institution here in design thinking. In Bombay, we have one of our departments offers lectures on design thinking. Decision making science, isn't it? इसको पता था कि पूरा इतना lectures चलेगा इसमें with so many mathematical calculations. क्यों मैं बोल रहा हूँ आपको? Coming back, startup itself is a study. And within startups, I'm giving you the ideas, what makes them succeed and what makes them not succeed. Okay, so let's come back to the last point, which is timing. Is timing important?
Very important.
और इंडिया में एक कदम आगे रखता है लोग. और भगवान की कृपा होती है. Some people call it luck, some people call it भगवान की कृपा. And किसी ने बहुत अच्छा बोला था. See, please understand this. Business success is everything. It's also timing. But you know, you need to connect to something higher. मैं कोई बोलता हरिओम वाले के पास कुछ भी नहीं है, वो भी वड़ा पाव बेचता है और वो समोसा बेचता है जो उसका बाजू वाला बेचता है. Isn't it true? Have you seen that? Same business model, same client, and maybe that guy's taste is better than this guy. And there's one fact. Just many people call it luck. But I say that luck वो ठीक है, मेहनत तो करना पड़ेगा. But if you include, there is a universal power which takes you. How do you know to be in the right place at the right time? It's a big question, right? So all analysis is important. So the 5 factors, it comes back to timing, and I say timing plus God's grace. Uber is not a great idea. But Uber became great because we were at the right place at the right time. So that we don't want to discuss, but we want to be aware of it. कि आप कुछ भी करो, वो हिंदी में कहावत है, समय से पहले और नसीब से ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं मिलता है. समय से पहले. That means timing, right? But the thing is that you can be in that space, yet you may not be the number one. But tell me one thing. Uber, right? Give an example of Uber. Is Uber India's number one so-called taxi company? Ola. Ola ने Uber से idea लिया.
Ola.
But tell me one thing. Why does Ola exist in India and not only Uber? It's a government policy. Are you aware of this? It's a government policy globally because Uber is such a brilliant idea that it can become monopoly. So there is something called as competition commission in every government, including government office. It's note करना. It's called the competition commission.
Yes. It is set up under Competition Act.
Competition Act. You can read it legally. What does it mean? कि कोई भी इसमें monopoly नहीं होना चाहिए.
Yes.
That is where entrepreneurship comes in. Everybody is given the opportunity. तेरे पास idea तो मैं भी कर सकता है. तू कौन है? I have an idea creator. Then you become monopolized. It's not good for a society. So what happened? Uber came into India. This Ola guy said, "I'm the Indian version of it." In US also Uber का local version. Lift. In China also there is, right? In China Uber
It was acquired. Didi was a version in China. Didi was Uber's version in China, but Didi has acquired Uber in China. Didi was the Chinese version of Uber, but Didi acquired Uber in China.
Yeah, exactly. वहाँ पे the government is a very different model. वो competition को खत्म ही कर देते हैं. And here we believe in that competition makes the customers happy. You have choices, right?
He was also interested in acquiring Ola last year.
So now this is happening between Amazon and Flipkart, right? Yes. So it's a balancing act. If you give everything to Amazon, it's a problem. This happened. India learned this from the East India Company. So now when foreign companies come with foreign direct investment or FII, foreign institutional investments, these are where the money comes in. But they can't take away everything. So you have a balancing act. A local company grow. Uber is successful globally. Ola is successful in India. But what if Ola goes to America? Do you think they will succeed? You never know.
May not.
But what is the unique offering? That's the question.
Zomato became successful. Zomato went abroad.
Okay, so
Ola offers things like auto rickshaw and now even bikes, which
sharing. You can hire a special car for a day. Rental, car rental.
Because the Indian company, they could Indianize the model as well as Uber still cannot because they are global now.
Correct. Anyway, so what I'm saying that जब भी आप idea से निकलते हो, you have to look at so many factors. But कहीं ना कहीं भैया शुरुआत तो करो. ये तो analysis will lead to paralysis. You know everything, थोड़ा सामने वाला करके चला जाता है.
Sir, I want to ask you about, there are certain trends that come in.
Yeah.
So, for example, most recent is the fidget spinner thing. It is a great idea. I mean, it has taken up so well. It's viral, like everywhere. You find it everywhere. What happens to the company who's making it or whatever? There must be factories obviously making it. What happens to them after the trend dies down?
Either they fail or they catch up with the next trend. And the worst or either the best is to create the next trend yourself. I will tell you, this Apple or जो भी आपके पास Samsung है, why do you think they are big? And do you think they will be continuously big forever? There is something which is continuously changing and they change very fast. So the trend is always temporary. Okay? But principles of business are always permanent. So have your firm principles but change with the trend or sometimes create the trend. So let me give an example of Sony. Sony?
Yes.
You try and call him. The managing director of Sony. वो बेचारा इतना घूमते रहता है दुनिया में तो आ ही नहीं पा. But try and get him. He was telling me Sony's principle of business has lasted I think almost 70-80 years now. But they've been always understanding trends and changes. Okay? So what is the difference? He said we are in entertainment industry. We'll never change that, isn't it? तो Sony का कुछ भी दो. Even mobile भी आप देखोगे ना, it has got very high quality media, the voice and all. तो देखिए हमारा जब भी मोबाइल देखेगा तो गाना सुनेगा तो एंटरटेनमेंट में गड़बड़ी होनी चाहिए. We are not a mobile company. We are also into a mobile company. We have taken the entertainment into that platform. So the principle of Sony is that. But then Sony experiments with the trends. For example, Sony Television is also part of the parent company. But you see, उन लोग भी सीरियल्स के साथ एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं. सास बहू वाला जनरेशन खत्म हो गया. Have you seen that? It ran for a long year. It was like a change in India, and it became very localized also. Regional languages में भी सास बहू के versions are. And Sony is looking at ठीक है. And you know they continuously analyze. They have their own statistics department, research department. They look at the statistics. सास बहू पीक और कितना खींच सकते हो? खींचो. अरे यार बिलियन व्यूअर्स, अरे बना लिया पैसा. पर सडनली बोलता हो गया. वो स्मृति ईरानी चली गई, मर गई. अभी क्या करेगा? वो तो पॉलिटिशियन बन गई. दूसरा लाता रहेगा. तो स्मृति ईरानी चलता नहीं साथ में होगा. नहीं. But they understand people still want entertainment in a different form. And then they say wait. Then what they say is okay. What is the next trend? They do research. अच्छा इंडियन माइथोलॉजी. ओ सडनली दूसरा पिकअप हो रहा है. तो चलो इंडियन माइथोलॉजी रामायण बनाओ, हनुमान बनाओ, जय श्री गणेश बनाओ. You seen that? And now that is also very very good. लेकिन ये ये मरता नहीं क्योंकि इंडियन कल्चर में इसको अभी भी डिमांड है, कितना रामायण बनाओ, लोकल बनाओ, वो बनाओ, वो चलता रहता है. बट जैसे कि नहीं, दिस इज अ गुड मॉडल. So everybody wants Ramayana or all those things, right? So I think that let's create the next one. I don't know what the next one is. Oh, another version. By the way, all the research happens in our department. So all the Sanskrit scholars come here. You saw Amish that day? Yes. Amish, he was here. Amish Tripathi.
Yeah.
हम लोग इंडस्ट्री का लेक्चर हुआ ना, ये सारे अपने यहाँ पे देवदत्त पटनायक, अमीश, ये मेरे राधाकृष्णन पिल्लाई. So now there's a huge trend of Indian mythology and Indian scriptures, Chanakya, all this. What I'm saying, smart people say, what is that you're offering me? It's a core business. The core business for Sony is entertainment. The form of entertainment can change, but entertainment will always remain. For example, coming back to fashion industry, clothing is a basic requirement. Every generation will require it. But कौन सा डिजाइन पहनेगा that can differ, isn't it true? So people say, देखो भैया, मैं फैशन में हूँ, but मेरा पहला जो उसूल है कि कपड़ा पहनना है. If people start or I stop using कपड़ा only, then I'm out of the business. But उसमें variations होगा, which is trends. So Diwali sales, तो सब traditional sales होगा, isn't it true?
So trend initiate कैसे होता है? Like जो trend shift होता है, how does the
So there are always leaders, thought leaders who create it. Always. Give an example of how Indians wear dhotis. It's a one leader who created it.
Celebrities set the trend. Celebrities set the trend.
So that's why fashion industry endorses and brings celebrities to show what they create.
And Manish Malhotra did a big fashion show by taking all the father and the daughter.
Suppose if a product is 250 rupees, it is selling at 1700. So Shah Rukh Khan for a Belmont was paid 9 crores and Amitabh Bachchan on a Reed and Taylor is paid 9 crores. Okay, he gives 12 days based on certain photo shoots and this. So it's an entire collections which comes of a design team which does.
So basically they make sure that they get some face to that and then credit it. You want to put a comment on it because he's been in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to an expert.
Trends are not created by these film stars.
Yeah.
Good. So thought leaders.
There are the demand curve is broken up into the initial experimenters, and then they have their followers.
Sorry.
They have their followers, and then the followers have their followers. So there are these bold initial experimenters who first take up fashion. If it works for them, then they start becoming visible at all places. That's where the filtration.
So look at it, there is a thought, there is an idea, they experiment it, they test it, and it takes off.
Nobody knows what's going to become.
That is when I say Bhagwan Ki Kripa.
There is nothing like the Pond Institute, there was nothing like the Belmont Academy of Fashion. It was just created on the platform. We created a chapter, Belmont Academy.
Well, he's from the media, so he knows how the whole creation happens. Continue. Okay, so the whole idea is that, let us summarize it, क्योंकि आपको दिवाली celebrate करना है, मुझे और 10 मिनट लगेगा. The whole idea is that, see, if you look at business, entrepreneurship, everything is there, but it's a logic scientific process. Suppose your business succeeds, it's another problem. How to manage people, how to pay salaries, अलग challenges.
Demand and supply.
So what I'm saying, great. Now, the last point of my particular lecture today is that what is happening in India as far as startups is concerned. What do you think?
The government policies become very.
बाद में करते हैं, forget the government policy. आजकल startups के बारे में इंडिया क्या बोल रही है? Government छोड़ो. What is the general feel?
There's a wave of startups.
That's what I want. What is the social psychology as far as startups is concerned?
People have opened up.
People have opened up.
Parents are supporting.
Parents are
supporting.
Startup will go style change.
Yeah, style statement.
No, there are incubation centers, the environment has changed. Parents have somewhere started accepting and society is accepting. Somebody says I'm starting up, they will not say ये क्या कर रहा है नौकरी कर. अभी हाँ ठीक है good. So there's a lot of
socially, exactly, that's a very important point. What is happening, there is a buzzword now. Isn't it true?
There are special magazines are now coming up for startup support. The magazines are
lots of material is around. Lots of material is around. Lots of support systems are around. Fundings are there.
Oh, startups are there.
Media is supporting startups.
Startups.
we should not get carried away by all the positive thoughts. There are also some negative thoughts.
Yes, sir.
That we also consider.
So what I'm
Some
saying,
people are
buzzword, but be careful.
Initial originalism is there.
So why is startup so high now?
I'll tell you,
Because
we'll come to that.
all throughout we have been startups. Even our fathers have started.
Yeah, but the numbers was not as big as this. So what I'm saying, typical middle class of India or below, we're all about surviving. तो सर्वाइविंग में थोड़ी स्टार्टअप है चुपचाप नौकरी कर महीने का एंड में तेरे को पगार आएगा इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड इन आवर कॉलेज डेज वी नेवर अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इज स्टार्टअप्स वी अंडरस्टूड वन थिंग कि देयर इज अ बिजनेस कम्युनिटी एंड देयर इज अ वर्किंग कम्युनिटी एंड द डिवाइड वाज वेरी बिग द बिजनेस कम्युनिटी वाज हार्डली मेबी 2-3% ऑफ द होल सोसाइटी 99% of the remaining people were either farmers or job seekers.
Also, education system. People were educated and they were not wanting to get into startups. Educated हो गया तो job करेंगे. अभी educated को भी एक छोटा startup में support system है. So the trends have on education also have changed. Yes. And middle class has opened up, which was more of a service class.
No, the main differentiator is that the question she asked is why there is a lot of buzz for startups now.
Because the middle class is
No, it's because if you look at all the technology startups have gone the mystic element. Yes.
Because
the manufacturing startups don't attract their mystic element. So that is the reason when we don't know they are attracted to it.
Also the way of WhatsApp and all has somewhere started communicating faster.
Yeah, technology.
So, technology has helped it move faster. Initially,
technology has a big support.
More than that, valuation. When you look at Flipkart, 15 billion valuation. When you look at the Snapdeal, valuations is at right.
So one star and everybody wants to be a star.
Earlier, the investment of the government in financing was also interesting, but that had a problem ancillary and bad tax. Now the government is thinking in a different manner.
So now there is an ecosystem where at least people are talking about startups. Whether you do it or no, सुन तो रहे ना बार-बार startup होता है क्या पता नहीं. So now we are going to the processing startup ऐसे होता है, register करना पड़ता है ये वो सब. So now I'll stop with one interesting what is happening in India. Okay? So what is going to happen? Number one, socially it is getting accepted. As you rightly put it down. अच्छा ये startup कर रहा है तो मैं अपना बेटी दे सकता हूँ. There's only something in the business communities. Let me tell you this. हाँ, वो I know this कि गुजरात का कोई तो गया था कि वो लड़का क्या करता है? And I'm from a typical working class community ना मलयाली लोग. तो बोला लड़का अभी धंधा कर रहा है. कौन सा धंधा कर रहा है? वो हमको क्या मालूम? हाँ? Girls' parents are telling this, huh? वो लड़का क्या कर रहा है? थोड़ा मेड मिस्टेक. बोलता कुछ धंधा करता है करे. बोलता कौन सा धंधा? हमको क्या मालूम? Then what? How can you give your girl to a person who is doing some धंधा which you don't know? And you know what she told me? उसका जो पिताजी है ना वो सक्सेसफुल है. वो बेटा को सक्सेसफुल करेगा ही करेगा. Can you understand this?
Logic.
No, this was limited to that. If I were to be given a girl, मेरा एक तो मम्मी बोलेगा ये अब तक तैयार नहीं है शादी के लिए. पहला बेटा नौकरी कर ले, फिर वो हमारा मैरिज मार्केट में फ्लोट होगा. लड़की मिल भी गया तो पूछा कितना कमाता है? लड़की भी नहीं दे. What is happening? Even as you say, the working class parents don't mind their children having startups. This is very interesting dimension of startup and entrepreneurship because it is not a job and it is 24/7 freedom also. Remember the Sridevi movie we saw? Freedom of the entrepreneur. You can be at home and have an extra income. So we will stop here as I will again and again with what is the government doing. So how many of you know what is the government doing? Startup India is another startup India center. What else do you know?
Ministry also.
Okay, ministry है.
Earlier there were 75 positions you were supposed to take for startup, but now it is reduced to 25.
What is 2025?
Permissions.
So there is this compliance part. But what is the general government doing?
And not also they have a separate policy of a startup. Also, it's not.
Lobbies के लिए policy अलग से बना है because थोड़ा सा interior है, they have to be encouraged. So there are more funds there. So government is funding. Yeah. What does the government do?
They are giving
incentives available for startups.
There are incentives available for startup orders.
The
incubation centers.
Incubation.
There are free videos available to you by successful startups. Free videos and free training programs. Government is giving you free offices to sit and work. I give you right now. तो अगर आपके पास नौकरी नहीं है तो जाओ उसको ऑफिस में फ्री में बैठो 4 महीना पूछेंगे नहीं और फुकट में आपको पैसा भी देंगे. You want to try it? So those people who are out of jobs, please go there. I'm not joking. I'm not here saying that because the government government understands that a jobless society is a very dangerous society. You will create criminals. जो आदमी सब पैसा कमा रहा है वो नहीं है. You have to encourage him to get another job और you should say घर से निकलो. घर पे बैठे तो वैसे मम्मी बोलेगी बेटा तू क्या करता है? You don't know this. This is the reality. And right here in Mumbai, I'll tell you where to go. You don't know that?
No,
Free. So the government is doing a lot. So I want to show you that video. A small. Actually, I don't want to show you a video. I want to show you an opening into a world which probably is just behind you, but you don't know about it. By the way, they have already started approaching people like us. And Skill India, Startup India. Skill India, वो जो है Startup India, Stand Up India. And universities, colleges are also getting a lot of partnership deals with the government of India. Okay, so here we are not started, but they are also being discussed with incubation centers. You know what is incubation centers? And tell you what is incubation center. It is not important that you give degrees anymore, right? So you say within the colleges, after your degrees, you also make sure there is one more year extra where they work, they come not to the college but to the office of the college where there is a center, where there is a small cubicle given to you, computer, internet free given to you, and there are mentors and guidance who will tell you what to do. एक साल आपको और सीखना है free में, and they will also fund you. Let us start. So I will just show you some videos and then you can do your research later on. You can go to the Government of India YouTube channel, okay? It's called
कौन सा ये वाला? आवाज कर रहा है। आइस में कर दो, ठीक है? ओके विद दैट।
No, I tell you this is a very Indianized version. Okay, this is the Government of India's YouTube channel, and you just look at it. Startup India, very simple one. But you know, my biggest thing मैंने सर्च लोगों को पता ही नहीं कितना सब्सक्राइबर 3000 पूरा इंडिया के लिए बना है. It's free.
For many entrepreneurs today, and our Honorable Prime Minister's vision is a guiding light.
हिंदुस्तान का कोई जिला, हिंदुस्तान का कोई ब्लॉक है.
And see what are the activities. You want to see what an incubation center looks like. You want to see how there are 25 things. So Startup India में आपको सब दिखेगा. Let's start.
A brilliant dreams, and behind each there is an idea. Launching a startup is a dream for many entrepreneurs today, and our Honorable Prime Minister's vision is a guiding light.
हिंदुस्तान का कोई जिला, हिंदुस्तान का कोई ब्लॉक ऐसा ना हो कि आने वाले दिनों में नए स्टार्टअप शुरू ना हो.
Startup India, an initiative of the Government of India that promotes entrepreneurship by nurturing, mentoring, and facilitating startups throughout their life cycle. January 2016 saw the launch of the Action Plan, a big step to help entrepreneurs get started.
We have a tech startup idea, but don't know where to begin.
Honestly, I have no business background, but don't know where to go for advice.
The Startup India Hub is a unique platform that addresses your requirements. It identifies and approaches the right mentors, incubators, accelerators, and investors.
And you can access all of this through the Startup India app or the website.
That's it. ऐसे स्टार्टअप शुरू नहीं हो रहा था. बिजनेस करना आता भी है. Well, आता तो नहीं था. But then I took the free Startup India learning program, and here I am.
Very important, but how do I start? The government appointed facilitator helped me find my patents for almost no cost.
आइडिया और फंडिंग से स्टार्टअप शुरू नहीं होते. गवर्नमेंट रिक्वायरमेंट्स का पेपर वर्क, और सरकारी दफ्तरों में भागा दौड़ी, इसका खर्चा कहाँ से आएगा?
Startup India understands this and helps entrepreneurs self-certify for compliance under 6 labor and 3 environment laws, and several states are in adherence. Guidance and mentorship is great, but a startup needs the right resources to grow. This is why academia and the industry have been brought together to set up research parks, incubators and startup centers across the country. Let's look at biotechnology today. Bioclusters and bioincubators are being set up at major national research institutes and universities to help startups in every possible way. We know funding is a big roadblock for startups. The government has created a fund of funds that will help startups gain access to funding.
Entrepreneurs will no longer face the challenge of initial profitability. The exemption under the Startup India initiative gives you a 3-year tax holiday out of a block of 7 years. So you can reinvest the capital, really make your business big.
Businesses fail all the time. Startup India helps you wind up your business in 90 days and move on to your next thing.
We are committed to promote entrepreneurship, innovation and startups in the country. We have been taken a number of steps and initiatives to strengthen the ecosystem for startups, and we are committed to doing whatever is required to be done to further promote this ecosystem and provide our entrepreneurs and the young people with the opportunities that they require.
Spirit of entrepreneurship begins early, and adult tinkering labs at school level encourage this very spirit. Plus, many programs help at the college level too.
The government is constantly moving forward, but with the inputs which come from people. The government is going to be an honest facilitator. We want to make sure that the startups are not going to be wondering as to who's going to help them. We are here. Access us for information, access us for suggestions, and access us also tell us that we should do things better this way or that. We are here to help you. We want you to succeed as a good startup entrepreneur. We are with you.
With Startup India by your side, why wait? Come on India, let's start up. Get recognized with Startup India because we are here to help.
There's a call, also, try it out. I think Bombay has got a few centers of incubation right from IIT Bombay. Bombay University may be chal raha, I'm not aware of it, I need to get updated. Sumaya College. So it's all happening around it. Anything that if you are interested, you should take the next step yourself. What is very important, this website I found, I not done a thorough research. There are hundreds of videos already there which actually talks about the problems of startup. You see all this? There are seminars, conferences happening across the country and free seminars again. So basically all these people are experts in their own particular domains, so they call experts. A lot of them are here. There's a conference. So I'm saying that a lot of things are happening in India, we may not be aware of it. Other thing is that when this thing was initially started, the government identified 212 first generation startups in India. 212, that was the number. And they said that these people have struggled in India when it was not very easy to do business. They are very mature now. And they are now mentoring all the startups across India. So you can meet them. Zomato, this was the founder of Zomato. But in this video, you don't see the other one. So if you see, there are 212 successful ones in India, which includes Flipkart, by the way. Okay, so these people are on a mission mode. If you want to approach them, if you want to go through the channels. So you see, they are all very famous in the youth circle. The identify jo kiya tha, they are basically it's encouraged to encourage the youth. You remember Suhas Gopinath? Did I tell you about him? Did I tell you about this? Okay, so I remember I told you the story. So he was the youngest CEO in the world when he started a company in India, but the environment was not very friendly. So he registered the company in US. And today it's 32 years old, but he started when he was hardly 13 or 14 years old. And Bill Gates called him, saying the world's youngest CEO India में से आओ बात करो, software company था. And Suhas Gopinath is a part of that 212 team, but उसमें से भी is a part of the core 5 team, which works directly at Niti Aayog. Okay, so coming back, startups अगर घर पे है, पिताजी का help है तो लो, बाहर से है तो भी करो, government का help चाहिए लो, but please do your research well before you start it. Don't just jump into business because I feel it's a great idea. You are wasting your time. Because आगे वाला जो hurdles है पहले ही समझ लो ना. And I always believe partner with the government even if you don't have a great opinion about the government. Please understand this. Partner with the government even if you don't have a great opinion about the government. Why? Because finally the government will interfere. Even if you don't want to, right? Sort of understand the government. Go to these centers. देखो कुछ नहीं कर रहे तो आपको अगर टैक्स भरना ही है तो पहले से सोच लो कितना टैक्स भरना है. The moment you understand, you realize this. How many of you are aware of this? That 7 years they're going to support you. How many years? It's not small. 7 साल अगर आप करो तो government will help you in the capital investment tax देके वो वापस कैसे करते हैं? Startups के लिए by the way it's a very different policy. It's not like a regular income tax or what do you say now we have GST. Startup के लिए completely different formulas होते हैं. हमारे ये अगर बेचना है तो मेरे को जीएसटी भरना पड़ेगा. वो अप्रोच करो और बोलो स्टार्टअप का कुछ नंबर दे देंगे आपको. यू कैन फाइल योर रिटर्न्स एंड टेक इट बैक. मैं क्यों बोल रहा हूँ? इफ यू थिंक एट द एंड ऑफ इट गवर्नमेंट इज अ प्रॉब्लम, इट मे बी, बट गवर्नमेंट इज आल्सो ट्राइंग टू रीच आउट टू पीपल. And I would say for all those people who are teachers here, I know many of you are teachers, you have your own networks, you are bosses of your companies, etc. etc. Please promote these ideas. Watch it yourself, Startup India. And of course, let me see, not in this particular time, but if something can be done at our level for CIL, I'll try to do it. Now, we are more focused on academic part of it, and now we have the ICPR seminar coming up and all that. But we already had a discussion with the Vice Chancellor that Mumbai University has been approached by the government because it's a premium university. So, a lot of colleges are doing it, but if you want to do it at our center, we'll try and see what is doing. Okay? So, any questions? Clear? So please stand up. If not, at least support the guy who is starting up and standing up and help them. Because India requires a lot of entrepreneurs who are not job seekers but job creators. It's a long journey, but if you have a friend along with you, it becomes much better, right? Okay, so with that, technically the unit is over from the academic standpoint. But we will take up the funding part of it more in detail. Because I think that's the crux of any business. How to get the funders and all those things. And I will just tell you that the relationships matter a lot. It is not your paisa. You can maintain a relationship.
Where are the rent-free business centers?
You have to go to that website. I definitely know it there. One is the IIT Bombay. And Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation have identified a few centers. I think if I'm not mistaken, and Nehru there is one. These are all off-the-hand information which my friends told. So what they have done, they have segregated the startups as far as industry is concerned. So manufacturing के लिए अगर आपको जाना है तो I think it's a different kind of incubation centers. In Pune I know they tied up with MIDC. What is MIDC? There are industry universities. So Pune has offered, I think, help for around 2,000 startups. And by the way, Pune is much ahead of Mumbai in startups. So there's a beautiful culture of IT there. So वहाँ का very proactive है. But I've met some of them. But in Bombay, definitely I know 2 centers. One is IIT Bombay. IIT Bombay has got a Startup India center. You know, go and find out who are there. You will visit.
Professor Atre is the head.
But IIT Mumbai and Navi Mumbai मध्ये पढ़ा. But again you have to find out. थोड़ा research करो.
Science Society है ना for entrepreneurship.
अच्छा.
IIT Bombay Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Professor Atre is the head.
हाँ, see that's the thing. इधर एक बार इससे भी पूछ लेना. We have a student who is working in an innovation center. So those people are interested in visiting IIT Bombay, just contact Pranav and he will give the contact. I have one of our students who studied Chanakya is now in the innovation center. Correct? So that we can help you. IIT Bombay also definitely we can make a visit at the individual level. But please take the next step forward. Information से कुछ नहीं होता है. थोड़ा देखो कुछ करो. Thank you. Diwali celebration.
परत